Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Inenco's Energy News Update. In a move that has sparked a storm of debate, Ofgem has published its proposals for delivering energy security up to 2020. These proposals come from a year-long study called Project Discovery. The regulator has recognised that there's a significant risk of supply shortages in the middle of the decade. The proposed solutions range from minor adjustments to the current market all the way up to taking electricity generation back under state control. To help us understand these issues, we turn to Nick Campbell. Nick, it's clear that Ofgem are worried about us not being able to generate enough electricity. What is the background to these fears?
There's actually nothing new here, Katie. At the heart of this problem are changes to our structure of our generation fleet, all of which have been known about for some years. In fact, 2 years ago we actually raised the same issues in our report, The Generation Gap. At the moment we get most of our electricity from coal-fired and gas-fired power stations. The coal-fired plants produce a pollutant called sulphur dioxide, and a piece of European legislation means that they have to have equipment fitted to reduce emissions. The generating companies have said that they will only fit this equipment to some plants, and this means by 2014 a number of the large stations will have to be withdrawn.
How big an impact will these closures have?
The total output of these plants is around 10 gigawatts, or about 20% of our average daily demand. So you can see that the losses of these stations will leave a big hole in our capacity. At the same time, we've seen that our nuclear plants haven't been able to run at full capacity, and renewables are still in the process of being rolled out. Whilst there are plans to build replacements for these coal-fired plants, it's not likely they'll be ready in time, so we'll either see a shortfall or at best margins that are so tight prices will be pushed up strongly.
What have Ofgem said about how we should solve this problem?
Well, Katie, there's a huge set of proposals, but there are some common threads. Some generators have said that they can't make long-term investments without being confident over higher carbon prices. So Ofgem have said that these should be set now. Getting consumers and businesses to reduce demand through the use of smart meters is another common measure. Outside these ideas, though, they're more radical. These largely involve taking control of how generators sell their power to energy suppliers. In some options, it just covers renewable energy, but in the most extreme, the whole market would effectively be nationalised.
How would this control help us running out of electricity?
The idea is that a centralised energy buyer would establish long-term agreements for the delivery of electricity. The generators who sign these agreements would then be able to have the level of security to finance the investments.
Wouldn't that be a good thing?
The problem arises, Kate, with long-term deals of this nature is that there's no real drive to improve the efficiency, and also it means that poor decision-making will be locked into customers' pricing over a longer period. There's also the small matter that this approach would break other European legislation on open markets, so it may not be able to be implemented anyway.
Should we really be concerned about power cuts?
The threat is real. It's not clear that Ofgem's small proposals will make enough difference, and it's hard to see how the large ones would be implemented. At the end of the day, there may have to be a painful choice between hitting the emissions targets and keeping the lights on, given the level of disruption that major power cuts would actually cause.
Thank you, Nick. This is obviously an issue that we're going to have to return to as it develops. But for now, from Nick and myself, thank you for watching and goodbye.